breaking news from CBS 2.
Good evening. I'm Joe Donlin. Great to have you with us on our streaming service, CBS Chicago. We do have some breaking news we've been following. A car ran into a bank in Bloomingdale, Illinois, in the western suburbs, and that car broke a 2-inch gas main, setting off an explosion and a fire. We do have a number of new bits of information. Let's get right to Charlie DeMar, who's on the scene there for us. Charlie, what have you learned? I know you've spoken with some officials here recently.
And Joe, we just pulled up. As you can see, fire crews are still aggressively putting this fire out. But if you look at those flames, it's a mixture of green flames in there. As you did mention, that car that you see there, that white car that barreled into this Chase Bank, severed a gas line. So that really is what's giving firefighters a problem out here. We're told by officials in Bloomingdale out here that it is going to take some time because they're actually going to have to dig to shut the gas line off. Just for some background, we are at the Springbrook Shopping Center in Bloomingdale. There are a number of fire departments out here attacking this from the air. There's at least 2 ladders going right now that we see that are aggressively going after this. But the fire officials here told me that this is going to be a long night for these firefighters since that gas line was severed when that car went into the Chase Bank. The good news in all of this, nobody is injured. We're told that driver was removed safely. The bank was closed at the time. This appears to be a mix-up, somebody mixing up the gas and the accelerator there. And if you take a note there also, there's no bollards preventing cars from going into the building here. There are those blue bollards around that green box just to the right of where those flames are, but it does not appear that those bollards were in place that could have potentially prevented this car from going into the Chase Bank. So we're going to gather some more information. We're just getting here on the ground, but still a long night ahead for firefighters out here in Bloomingdale.
Charlie, thank you. So a couple of key pieces of information we've been wondering about. Was anyone injured? And the good news here is the answer to that is no. And it also appears that it was accidental. And we do, Charlie, have some other video that I think if you're just joining us, you'll find helpful. We did find some images on Google Maps that show this bank, and it actually adds quite a bit of perspective to what we're looking at here. The area where you see those blue bollards are between the building and what would be considered the bank drive-through. This is where you would either go to the drive-through to conduct your business with a teller who's inside the windows that are in the background of what you see there, just like this, or perhaps you're just driving through the ATM to get cash. Now, this, we believe, is the gas main that might have been hit. And we talked about the blue bollards that you've been seeing in different areas. They put that there just in case a car were to hit it. It would presumably protect it. It's unclear how far down that bollard goes and if this is the gas line that was hit. We can also tell you that just based on the research I've been doing online here, and I'm certainly no expert on gas lines, but it appears there is a shutoff on that line right there on that unit you're looking at. But if the car hit it and bent that blue bollard and then actually hit the line hard enough to rupture, which it did, it's probably a safe assumption to think that the gas shutoff at the source right there is no longer functioning, which is why Charlie DeMar was just telling us how difficult it's going to be to get to a point where they can shut the gas off to the building right now. And there's a great video you can see from Chopper 2. This is live right now, and this has been going on for quite some time. What is it now? 10 till 7. So we came on the air at 6 o'clock, and this was our lead story, and we broke it here on our streaming service, CBS Chicago, at about 5:30. So this has been going on for the better part of almost 2 hours now, at least. The bank closed at 5. We do know that. And that is good news as well, because this happened shortly after. So whoever was in line there, either conducting business in the teller line or getting money from the ATM, had some sort of situation, which we hear about often, where they hit the gas instead of the brake. And you can tell when the chopper swings back around here, there's not a lot of room between the drive-through tellers and the back of the bank building right there. And it was enough, certainly, for the driver to hit that gas line, rupture the line, causing an explosion and also a fire that followed. And we should also point out the firefighters have done an amazing job. Charlie pointed out that they're still pouring water on this, but when we were on this in the beginning at 5:30, the building was pretty much fully involved, and they did an amazing job of putting those flames down in the building part of the bank. But as you can see in the back part of it, there's really not much they can do with that gas line ruptured, just spewing onto the flames that are there. But they've done a great job of containing what's around there. This is another great shot from Charlie DeMar's perspective right there. Charlie, are you still with us? Can you still hear me?
I got you, Joe.
Yeah, so I'm curious if you can just remind me, how long did you say you thought it would take them to dig down and turn that gas line off?
So they don't know right now. I talked to a fire official as we were walking up to the scene, and he said these flames are going to be going for a while. And I don't know if you were able to see it, and if Jeff Langen can pan over to the digging equipment that was just brought out. The trees might be obstructing our view right now, but you can see some NICOR workers who are walking through the bank here near the drive-through. There is digging equipment. That's going to be the next step for the crews out here, is because they actually have to go and dig for the gas line to shut this off. So they're manually going to have to start digging in this. So on top of the cold weather, trying to keep these flames contained, they're now going to have to dig into the ground to shut this off. It sounds like that really is going to be necessary to get this fire under control and ultimately get these flames out.
Charlie, from your perspective, can you tell, have the flames pretty much been extinguished in the bank? Is it just this back section that's the concern right now?
That appears to be where both of these ladders are focusing on, are in the back section. But from our vantage point, it's not clear how deep those flames go. If it's just the car and the front area, we have no way of knowing, just because there's no windows on this side of the bank. But it's still going pretty good, as you can see. You can see the mixture of the orange and green flames there, obviously, because of the gas mixed up with it. Yeah,
that was the video I was wondering to see too as well. You can tell again from the smoke is an indication that they are putting out the flames in the building, so it is still clearly active in there. Charlie, what about traffic in the area? Have they shut down? I think it was the eastbound travel on Lake that was closed. Is that still the case?
Yeah. Exactly, on Lake Street here, and you can see, if we do take our attention away from the bank, you can see fire crews are working here. There's a number of gas companies here. NICOR's out here. There's another piece of digging equipment that's on a trailer right now behind us that we can see here. So Lake Street eastbound is closed just to allow room as all these crews work out here. But traffic going the other direction on Lake, that is moving just as normal, but it's this eastbound lane where you got digging equipment here, you got the gas company as well with NICOR, and of course the tower with the Bloomingdale Fire Department putting out these flames. Yeah, so understandably so, traffic is shut down over here.
Yeah, they have poured a lot of water on this fire. This has been going on, as we mentioned, for almost 2 hours now. They've been dumping water on this building, and from that perspective, from Chopper 2, it certainly is encouraging the work they've done to tamp down the fire in the bank itself. But when you have that raging gas line that's feeding the fire in the back of the building, I'm sure they have to continue to pour that water on. And what you're seeing now is a result. I wasn't sure if we were still seeing flames inside the building, but that's probably just the smoke as a result of the smoldering inside of that bank building as they continue to hit hot spots with the water. But that scene is certainly something. Charlie, can you give us an idea of roughly how far it is?
And Joe, one thing.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, for our viewers, just so you know, we have about a 3 or 4 second delay between Charlie and me. So Charlie, go ahead and finish what you were going to say.
I was just going to say that we have seen NICOR employees out here going through the sewer lines and taking readings at the sewer lines, obviously, or presumably to check for gas, to detect the presence of it. And as they've gone sewer line by sewer line, we've seen another crew coming by and spray painting it to indicate that it has been checked. Again, we are not privy to the readings or what was found, but they are going, at least we have seen a sewer line, or the drains here to check for the presence of gas out here. at the Springbrook Mall.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how far is it from where the drive-up ATM machines are and the back of the bank? Can you tell roughly? Is it 10 feet or 20 feet or farther than that?
It's steps from
okay.
where the drive-through is to where that car went in. It is a matter of steps. I mean, 5-10 steps at most. It is very close from where those flames are to the drive-through here at the Chase Bank.
All right. Yeah, I don't know if Taryn in the control room and Michael, if you can maybe cue up some of the video we got from folks who were in that area right shortly after it happened. We haven't shown that just yet as we continue our coverage of this breaking news in the western suburbs. This is happening in Bloomingdale, but we did have some video from some folks who were nearby when this happened, and it did happen. Here we go. Yeah, shortly after 5 o'clock. This is after fire crews were already on the scene, but you can see the flames that are coming from the bank itself at this point. And the flames were still, and obviously from the beginning, shooting from that ruptured gas line in the back. But this gives you an idea of just how big that fire was when it started just shortly after 5 o'clock. And there's another one that we have. This is a different video too, that I haven't seen this one, but the other one that we saw from across the street, Taryn, I think was the one that really showed the flames at the bank building. But either way, this gives you an idea of where this fire was and where it is at this point. Now that we take a look at it again. Is this live? That's live, yeah. Oh, this is not live. Okay, this is earlier. So there you can see the fire in the roof of the building right there, and some of the mechanical units on the roof that are smoking as well. But that's a fairly good sized building, and you can see the amount of smoke that was coming out of it at that point. This is shortly after the fire was reported, and we were able to get our first look at that vehicle in the back that had run into the bank. And again, I think it's helpful if we can just take one more view of the Google map pictures just to give people the idea of what we're talking about. It's kind of hard to see at night, but this dayside picture from Google Maps gives you a great idea. Charlie mentioned it's just steps away, and that is a great perspective. You see the car that's in the lane there. It's just probably the width of one car or an alleyway. And so what it appears happened is the driver either had some sort of confusion or mix-up with the brake and the gas, and jolted forward into what we believe is that area right there. We think that could be the actual gas line that was broken. They do have these blue bollards that are intended to stop cars before they hit the unit. But obviously that car, if you slam the gas and you're going even 10 feet away quickly and at a high rate of speed, you might bend that right over and go right into the gas line, which is apparently what happened because it ruptured at some point there. And based on, again, what I found online, there's typically a shutoff valve that runs parallel with the pipe right there, and it's usually located about 6 to 8 inches above the ground. But if that unit is bent, broken, ruptured, it's going to be obviously very difficult, or if not impossible, for fire crews to get in there somehow and turn it off, which is why they haven't, and which is why they're having to go the much more difficult route of digging to get to an area where they can turn that gas line off. This is typical to what you might see if there's a water main break, and you would think, okay, it can't be that hard to shut the water off there to stop the water flow, but it is quite complicated depending on where the water break is. It might be under asphalt. It's not as easy as just flipping a switch, and if it were that easy on that gas line itself right there in the back of the building, they would have done that. Charlie, what can you tell us about what's happening there? It looks like they're bringing some equipment in now to start digging.
My radio's closed off, so I don't know if you guys need a statement. The fire chief's over there.
Oh, it sounds like, yeah, Charlie's gathering some information from firefighters there, but we did see what looked like a backhoe that just kind of went through the foreground of the scene there. So yeah, they're going to have to dig to get to a point where they can shut this line off, and that's what Charlie was saying. They were around marking where the gas lines were in this area, but you can see it is just a full-blown butane fire, gas fire right there. It's almost, oh, here we go. Yeah, there's the digging machine and the equipment that they're going to bring in. So hopefully once they get this thing dug and they can get to a point where they can shut this off, it'll certainly help calm this thing down. But firefighters did say they expected this to be quite a long evening until they can get that done. It always takes longer than it looks, that's for sure. And you can see the car there too, which has been sitting there. That's another concern that we've had. What happens to that car? Because you know there's gas in it, but it must be far enough away. The front part of it appears to be at least melted by now because it's been sitting in that incinerator for quite a while right now.